Hello, guys. Welcome to the Train Parrot. Welcome to another episode of the weekly TA with elite members. This is going to be a session where we do TA on altcoins. We take some Q&A questions as well from the community. You can, of course, join my Patreon as an elite member and then be able to vote in polls. For example, here I'm going to show you the voting that happened during this week. It's been 2 weeks that we haven't done it. I took some holidays for 1 week. So this week we're going to have to do some catch up at the moment. We're going to review XRP virtuals that those two coins got 6 votes. Then we have AIXVT, which I'm not familiar, but I've been watching on the charts a couple of hours ago. It's pretty interesting. We're going to give a catch up with Hype, XDC, XLM, HBAR, Solana, ALGO, BTC, CPOOL, and IXS. And of course, during these sessions, the community is connected with me. We are doing this privately once a week. And you can live ask any questions. Jose is going to share a link if you want to also be part of the audio and join live and ask me some questions. Share the screen. Just make sure that you don't share or leak any sensitive information. So without further ado, we're going to start with XRP. How is everybody doing? I'm going to have here my chat. Let me enable so I can perfectly see you in case you have any live question. Let's go into the charts, starting with XRP. Let's see how the chart is looking. So I'm going to do some comparisons, and I'm hoping that the comparison is fair. But if you focus on the RSI of Solana, which I was criticizing for how poor it was performing because it had all this fall in here, and after the breakout, it pinched 3 layers down. We lost this support after the breakout, then we lost this support, 51, and then we lost the horizontal. And finally, after 3, we could say, consecutive losses, we finally produce a channel that can offer some sort of breakout to the upside, a double bottom formation. Then we have a neckline around 46, and now we are doing a breakout from that neckline, the horizontal one, and also the downwards sloping resistance, which is currently located at 47, and the RSI is roughly 48. So we are on the weekly basis on Solana on a breakout area. Now let's go back to XRP and let's see if we compare apples with apples. Where are we with XRP? XRP hasn't managed to get to the global resistance. That global resistance, if we connect these two tops, let's do it properly. I think it's around here. We're going to get more or less a point of contact around RSI weekly 56. At the moment, we are at 53. So we have some move to do, not just to the upside, but also sideways to do if we want to meet with the resistance at 56. Of course, if we go vertically up, we are going to meet up with the resistance a lot higher at 62. And that translates in XRP either having to pay some respect to time and wait to get to the resistance a little bit later to do a longer accumulation, maybe a double bottom like I drew a couple of days ago in here. So from these highs, coming back down maybe to 50, producing a double bottom, and then hitting the resistance later in time. Or it has to do a pretty pronounced move up to meet with the resistance at 62. So we need a huge momentum to break out for XRP, or we need more time, one or the other. Yeah. To be fair, we are experiencing this Sunday a breakout that is a local breakout. So what that means is we have this resistance that does not touch the top. That's the key difference. It's touching the second top, and from there we have a point of contact with 69, and then we are getting that breakout 21st of April. So there is an internal breakout. What's the problem with an internal breakout? Well, an internal breakout is not a global one. It still needs to face the reality that it hasn't fully escaped from this, downwards momentum that we currently have. Solana, let's compare it with Solana. Solana has done the same, right? It had that internal breakout. Here you can see it, but Solana has already managed to do two things that XRP hasn't: hit the global resistance, two, stay above it intra-candle. Not confirmed, no candle close, neckline completed for Solana as well. So good for Solana that is catching up faster. I will say, to be fully fair, regardless of my preference of XRP, Solana, I kind of lean a little bit more to Solana, but that's just a matter of historical preference. But eh, I will say Solana has fallen pretty hard, pretty badly. It lost a lot more support than XRP, and thanks to that, it's been easier at the moment to do those moves up. So we are having a move from 36 after 4 layers down, and XRP is moving still from 50s. So if you talk to someone with basic knowledge of RSI, is going to say if you are above 50, we're still in an uptrend. This is just a mild correction for XRP. So let's be fully fair. That's why maybe XRP is still a bit looking for a little bit more sideways, or it requires a lot more momentum to break out. But let's appreciate all the things that are going on with XRP. Let's not be just fully negative. XRP has reclaimed $2, and that was the line in the sand for me. In between $2 and 1.9 has been constantly the difference between turning this huge move up from being just the usual, which the usual historically for XRP is just to pump and then dump and then just range for years, right? So if we want to exit that bad, you know, activity in the price action, we really want to defend this area in here. And we went as low as 1.6, but we reclaimed $2, and that is really bullish. We are now at the neckline 23824. That is equivalent to Bitcoin being at 95. So we should be looking at XRP if Bitcoin manages to break that 95K and hold it as support. Remember, I have a bias towards a potential pullback around that area at 97. So XRP, if it wants to mimic Bitcoin, it's gonna mimic it on a basis of what happens to 95K on Bitcoin will happen to 239 on XRP. So reclaim 95, XRP is gonna take back 239, and we're gonna be talking about next targets of 27 and $3. I sold all my XRP around 2728. I don't remember the perfect. I remember it was around this top during this week, and then I say, well, it might go a little bit higher, but then we're gonna get a bearish divergence. So I'm not gonna count on that, because sometimes you don't get the bearish divergence. Sometimes it's just a blow off top, and then you miss the exit. And it happened in the past. Here there was no bearish divergence. You went straight down. So I say, okay, I'm out at 2.7. And now this could carry on going, but I think I held XRP for long enough, so I'm really happy to not hold it anymore, and to take my funds into something else. That's fine. Let's look at the socials. So XRP is getting extremely quiet in terms of social dominance, and that screams opportunity. So if you are a fan of XRP, or if you are already holding a position, this should be something that supports additional upside. Just like it was 21st of October, this lack of social dominance, meaning that people were looking at other coins and no one really was paying much attention relative to what usually attracts 5%. It can easily get to 5%, 4% in social dominance, people talking about it in social networks. And in here we are at 2, so pretty much half the social dominance of the average between 21st of October and now. So that's something interesting to look at. And the long shorts is getting very close to the area of value. It continues to lose longs in this area that is also calling for value for long. Okay, it's never going to be precise. It's never going to be just by the dollar when to enter, but I'm much rather looking for longs in areas like this than being very close to the highest percentiles of longs versus shorts. So that is important. Let's look at liquidation levels on XRP. I think I need to refresh this and maybe go to a higher time frame. Do we have the daily? Yeah, that's even better. I'm looking at your questions just for a moment. Arunas is asking or saying Ethereum didn't make the cut, but it will be great to see your TA. Okay, we can keep Ethereum at the end. BTC getting close to your 97,500 entry target. Say openly XRP is garbage. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say openly that it's garbage because I'm really happy and I don't need to make peace with it. If it goes to $100 one day, which I hardly doubt it, but if it ever goes there, I'm happy for the investors that are still in. But I'm going to be much happier if it goes back to 0.2 in the bear market. I'm going to laugh so much. Those tweets, no one is going to take them away from me. Anyways, so here we have some interesting liquidation levels. That 264 is heavier, definitely on the daily, and 3.4. So I would say areas to take profit if XRP starts rallying decently. A conservative one is somewhere around $2.6 to $2.7. Then we got two psychological. One is a psychological level, which is the $3. That's definitely a very important level. That's the time when Trump was tweeting, if I remember right. Correct me in the comments if I got it wrong, but I think we managed to get into $3, and then there were tons of shorts entering right there. Let's include the 3x. Cool. It's good because that 3x is showing me the largest level at the moment. And we have 3.4. That is kind of the largest when we accumulate 3, 5, 10, 25 x's. That is the thickest going up. And going down, believe it or not, if you aggregate everything, all leverages, the largest level is still 1.6. Okay, so if you're bearish or if you are sitting on your hands and you're willing to risk that price does not go there, let's call it, I'm waiting for an opportunity in a lifetime in the bull market and we correct big, the next decent entry is to enter around 1.6 to 1.5. That range there, if this flag fails, can definitely go that low. So let's see if we do this there. I cannot properly see where is the correction of 1 takes us into 1.4. Yeah, so it's definitely doable. It's absolutely within the reach. I will say up until 1.4 is reachable just by doing a failure of this move up into that flag. If that got a rejection in 95, turn into a rejection, well, that liquidity there is at risk. It's definitely not for granted that we take it, because to take that liquidity there, Bitcoin should also do something significantly lower. We're not going to get XRP at $1.5 if Bitcoin holds 90 or 91. We need to go way deeper, possibly even putting a new low on Bitcoin to be able to get to 1.5 on XRP. But it's still a great opportunity to consider if we get there. And let's go to virtuals. If there's any question about XRP, yes, XRP like to fill wicks. Yes, Mario says that. I completely agree. Let's look at this. Is listed on MEXC. I think that's the largest listing at the moment. And we got this pattern all across the board, which is to lose a neckline and then coming back on the weekly and trying to reclaim it. And on virtuals, that 95K on Bitcoin is equivalent to $2. And you can see that on the weekly RSI, after we put some sort of top information on the RSI with a breakdown of the support, then we started rolling over at RSI 40. And definitely we have had on the weekly already a breakout. So on this coin, I wouldn't be looking to enter at these prices right there at the resistance of $2. If I'm already in a position and I enter at 0.5, 0.6 at the area of accumulation below the loss support, that area there, then I will be now thinking, when am I going to unload this? And the answer will depend on successful breakout of Bitcoin over 95 versus rejection. That rejection of 95 at the very least should bring this into 1-1 to test against support. That's the horizontal support. But on the daily, I have a different support. So I did a little bit of my homework here. That is the neckline that got broken. We're coming back on the daily and we have that 1-1, but the support on the RSI daily is around 68. So let's put that on 68. Sorry, 60. What is that? There you go. So that is around 145 will be, a bullish retest of the daily momentum after the breakout that we have. What breakout? Well, more or less that breakout, that daily breakout there with a retest, and that will be a bullish retest around 70s. That could potentially put a new high. If we do that after that retest and we get a successful one, maybe we can even break the $2 after that. But if we lose that 69, 70, we end up closing 65, something like that on the daily, we could have a correction. And there are two factors that are calling at the moment for a correction on virtual. So watch out where you want to take partial profits. I'm not saying take full profits and call it a day, because if Bitcoin reclaims 95, this could break $2. But if you are wondering what's the level of risk at the moment, I think it's pretty high. Let's just look at how many longs we have here relative to the whole history. So we are at very high levels of longs. And, when you get this extended, then there is a decent flash of longs. So if that moved that like that, that could put the price either going sideways or have a decent correction. This actually went down around 20%. That was a mild correction because this is high, probably low cap, and it can move a lot more than 20%. So 20 is just a mild one. And in terms of socials as well, this is at the very high of buzz. It is as high as it gets on social networks. There must be a ton of people talking about this, and with this rallying, it can rally a little bit longer, but you're in the heaviest risk, both from long shorts and socials at the moment. RSI is above the percentile calculated with statistics on the daily. On the weekly, you have room to go, I will say, but the weekly takes a lot of time, right? We are on the weekly at 58, and we can get to 95. So there is plenty of room on the weekly, but nothing goes up only. So there can be some pullbacks in the way. You cannot see them on the weekly, but you have as a reference these pullbacks in here, 38%. This pullback in here is a 40%. So if you are on leverage, don't assume that just because this leg started that healthy, just like this one in here with almost no daily pullbacks, that there won't be. Look at how we approach 22, and take that as a template and more or less apply it here, and even be a bit paranoid before too, because this one pulled back at 195, then it pulled back at 2, then it pulled back again at 2, and then it broke out, and then it came back to retest 2. So watch out for risk around that area. The reason I'm doing longer analysis on those coins is because more people voted for those coins. So people in the elite get to vote with 5 hearts, They can add any coin they want, and they can give the 5 hearts to a single coin. So that's how some of them are getting more love. And I try to spend proportionally the amount of time in the ones that get more votes. This one is AIXBT. I've got no clue what is that. First time I hear about it. And interestingly, it looks more or less the same as virtuals. Well, some differences there, but it's pretty similar. Instead of the $2 in here, we have 22 cents. And we got some resistance at that level. I suspect that this is at a very elevated level of risk as well, similar to virtuals. And longs versus shorts, again, the highest it's ever been. It's been listed in Binance 20th of December around Christmas. And next level of resistance is 40 cents, so another 100% higher than where we are. And look at the RSI, it's the highest it's been at 78. It took that level. It kind of did a huge cup and handle on the daily RSI. By the way, let's look at the weekly. Yeah, what kind of TA can I do with this? It's just a hair pointing up. Let's look at the socials. Socials are kind of in the median, but the caveat is that a couple of days ago it pinched the top. It's been sideways, and socials can get a lot more exposure. We're talking about a 0.8% of all crypto social talking about AIXBT. That for a coin I never heard, that's kind of a lot, a 1%. But at the moment, it's pinching 27, 0.27%, right? And that's the level it pinched. So I think it can do higher, but the Bollinger Bands are constraining that at the moment. All right. So on the previous coin, virtuals, do I get some liquidation levels? Sorry for jumping back and forward, but sometimes I forget how important it is to acknowledge the levels of liquidation. And let's look for some targets. So this is virtuals, the $2. How much do we have there? So there is liquidation levels at $2. We took pretty much all these past 3 months of liquidity, and there is a liquidity heavy at 125. Let's increase this because I want to see below the price what is decently big. We got $1, and then we have, what is this? 1.1. 1 and 1.2, we could say, are the immediate lower targets for liquidity levels. And this one that I can barely see is 158. Fair enough. All right, let's go with the next coin. That is this one here. AI. Cool. It's Hype, actually. Right. So on Hype, I just published a video in this one here that was 2-3 days ago, and I was talking about the potential to have some breakout on the price here, because on the RSI we already had it, right? So we have this RSI breakout. I talk about where is the support at RSI 41. And I talk as well about where it's a decent area to top up if you want to enter in a position. And I think I was talking about RSI 42. I hope I'm not bullshitting on that, because my memory is kind of fading at some point. So I was talking about $15, if I remember right, as an area, but anywhere between the volume weighted moving average at 17 into 15, I call it an area for a decent retest. There's 16.8, which we happened to go and test on Monday. And then I think I shoot the video around here, and I say if we come back and we retest support, then ideally we want to hold that support and then go for the price to mimic what the RSI has already done. It's cool that it's already breaking beyond the $20 resistance, and is breaking also the price, and the RSI already broke to the upside a while ago. So I guess you're probably wondering, how high can we get with this? What are next levels? So on the weekly, we have that resistance at 22. I set a target from here up until $30, but there are some levels in the way that I mentioned in the video: 22, 27, and 30. Finally, we have the highest close at 32. And if you wonder if the breakout is still healthy, definitely it is. And since I wouldn't expect now to meet with 45, that will be pretty low. I will say that in order to keep the healthiness of this move, I will put an internal a kind of support in here to get an early alert. So the way I do this is I put the alert to the line itself. So I do right click, add alert on trend line, and I say when it's crossing down intra candle, and I get one alert. And then on a weekly basis as well, to get the full confirmation, the intra candle tells me, hey, we are pinching support, and I start paying attention there. If I'm in a long from this liquidity hand, once it re-enters, that sounds really sweet. When we reclaim $12, and if I was here thinking that could be resistance, or we are going to continue with another breakout, a global one this time, then I monitor that to keep my swing trade in a healthy state. If you're accumulating for an altcoin season, then ignore everything I'm saying. I think it can go, past the $30 easily by getting an altcoin season with more liquidity. Bitcoin doing price exploration, all that recipe can take all these coins a lot higher, I think. Right, let's go with the next one. Is XDC, and I haven't done my homework here, so you're gonna get to see live TA, and I immediately see that as resistance support right here at 87. Then we are gonna get 01 definitely, and I like 12, and I like 14. And yeah, let's see if we get some trend line, something like this. I like as well. And on the lower end, we got 63. And let's see if in between there is something important. Yep. So there is that support there, resistance, and support. So that is, I think, is 69. Okay, cool. There might be some levels in between. That 76 as well, that was resistance, and then it's coming back for a retest at 76. And we are entering into this area of the range, 77 into 86. Let's see if this produced a bearish divergence. No, it didn't. So we are not yet with a channel down. We're still with a channel up. And we could say that is the support. We could say this is the breakout. Oh, wow, we're getting a decent breakout here. So we form a bottom around here. I'm on the daily just because this was listed. Oh, no, it's got plenty of history. I can go to weekly. What am I doing? I like more the weekly. So on the weekly, there's still not breakout, unfortunately. And there is this support like that. And we are getting into a squeeze. You can still go into the daily and do a little bit shorter term analysis, but I like the idea of the support here and maybe a rally into 63 resistance. So where is 63? It's like that. In terms of socials, we're getting a lot of attention in here. That's 0.27%, but there's been spikes to 1.3% of attention on socials. So it is a spike, but it's not as high as it can get. And what happens to the coin when you get that attention? That one went a little bit sideways. This one started a pump. And as soon as you get that much attention, then you get all this drag down. The first attention didn't get sold off that much. It went down 35%, but this one went down 74. So watch out for those spikes of attention. We are currently getting one. So if you get lucky, you get just a smaller move down, maybe just to retest 49. As long as we get a higher low here, we can still have that idea that we're going into the resistance. Resistance is at the moment at 0.1. So that from where we are is a move of 29%, but it depends. If we go to support, it could be a bit more. So I wouldn't say this is tradable as it is now. I'm just telling you the current situation. We could be getting. We are in the middle already of an internal breakout, so that is already shifting the momentum to the upside. We need now a higher low and then continuation into the next resistance. The rally can become a lot higher if we go a bit more aggressive with the approach. If we retest here and then break out from 61, we can have another push up. At the moment, the percentile is at around 84. So let's see where is 84. It's going to be a lot higher if you really want to be aggressive on your targets. That is 24 cents. So let's see how much is that from where we are. That is at 200%. Right. Let's go with XLM. Cool. By the way, guys, all these lines I'm making, they're all on Telegram. You can go to the charts if you have access to the Charts Pro, and you go, for example, to, let's do help, and then you say alts, and you get all these coins. And if you want me to list more coins to see the charts, so you can see all the lines I put, all the indicators I'm using from Telegram. So that means pretty much from everywhere, a computer, your mobile, and you can see everything I'm drawing in the chart is going to appear there. So I think that's the value of that thing. You can find it in the shop in Patreon if you're interested. So Stellar, XLM, put a very nice breakout in here. I wonder why XRP, well, XRP looks a lot more funky. XLM looks like the perfect flag that retests the median, and now it's breaking out into 50s. Also, it's got very little attention on social networks. Longs versus short, we could say, is halfway through towards new peaks. I will get worried if we get into one of these peaks, 78, 74, 78. That much amount of longs, it usually calls for this sort of distribution where you see all these wicks to the upside on the weekly, and then you get corrections. Well, this correction went all the way down to 50%. At the moment, there's still room to go from the point of view of longs versus shorts, from the point of view of socials, and the breakout has only done the first candle pushing up. There can now be a retest or continuation to the upside. It's looking good, I will say. Let's see if we get some liquidation levels on XLM. I'm sure that is listed. And let's reduce the delta, the threshold. Is this XLM? Yeah, okay. So we got liquidations immediately above the price. That is at 31. Below, we left 30 cents. No, 23 cents. And there is some liquidations that are interesting around 43 cents. And in terms of levels here to look up for, so where is the next resistance? I will say 31 because it closed there and it pinched a few times. And I like candle closes for levels of support and resistance. That's just my preference. And then you got 56 and 44 after that. To be honest, I would love to see here a higher low like that. And let's see what we got at the same time with the RSI. So if we did that, if we could get either a double bottom on RSI or on price or on both, even better, then we have that 30 cents that we need to break beyond that. But thanks to that double bottom formation, you usually get the momentum to break important levels. So far, we have had 3 weeks in a row to the upside, but now we are being held by the order book at 28 cents. Order block, sorry, not book. Cool. And so far, support is 22. And the next one is 17 cents. Also good to keep it in mind as of risk. Remember, we mentioned some levels of liquidations below the price as well. HBAR. Okay, so let's remove this line. And what do we have with HBAR? This is previous cycle. We have higher highs relative to March. We respected the 13. We are trying to reclaim 20 cents. So it's all looking pretty good from that perspective. And we got a breakout on the weekly. That's phenomenal. And you can see, which coin was it? XDC, that I was showing you this setup. This setup XDC, the internal breakout and going into the global resistance. More or less, this looks like that. Like we have the squeeze, we have that support that we held at 41, and then we get the breakout at 50. So HBAR has done the breakout. The price hasn't yet crossed 20 cents, but the momentum is saying is getting very close. So either we just break out together with Bitcoin, or we put a double bottom and we do it slightly later, as long as Bitcoin holds there. Long shorts are very healthy, and socials are also in the lowest level of 0.38% in social networks. So that is as low as it gets, more or less. We got a pinch lower at 12, but that's just a one-off. But it can get as high as 2.8% of all social networks, talking about HBAR. So keep those ranges in mind, because once you need to take profits, it's really good to know, where it's getting too heated, either by technicals or by socials, one, the other, or together. Price, let me see what other people are probably looking here. So many people must be saying, hey, there's a breakout on the weekly, daily time frame in here from this flag after the double top. And did the double top reach the full target? Let's see. No, it didn't. So the full target was 10 cents, but that level of 13.4 cents held because of the highs of March. Fair enough. And after that, we are testing now the 20 cents. And let's look at liquidation levels. I'm just going to use this HBAR. How are you guys? CoinMarketCap up when extreme greed, more than 3D exit. Learn much from you. Thank you, Mario. Tell boys mid-May to exit shitcoin market. We'll see that. HBAR on the 3 months, we have a big liquidation at 20 cents. So that 20 cents has captured twice the shorts. So there's a decent accumulation of shorts there at 20 cents. That is all thanks to these two rejections in March, plus the two rejections in April. So very similar situation as Bitcoin with the 95. There's been tons of times that we tried to break over that level. And by the way, how is Bitcoin doing? Okay, it took everything, the 97.3. So you're going to hear it first from me here. I'm probably already in a short at the moment. And if we go beyond the 100K, I'm going to get out. But if my hypothesis, which I was giving preference to the hypothesis 2, I cleared my chart because I did it by hand before. Number 2 is to go up, but stop there at 95 or lower than that. Anywhere between here and there, stop and go lower, CME gap, take care of business, retest, check, and then go back to try to break 100K. Then one is just to go straight. In scenario number one, I get off my short and I take a loss, and I say publicly, I haven't taken a loss in a long time, but on shorts, I rather taking the loss than DCAing in here all the way to who knows where. Then number three is to do what I say in number two, but instead of just correcting to the CME at 91.5 or so, to go to 88 and then look up for over 100K. So at the moment, I am in a short. We'll see how it's gonna do later in the video tonight or after the stream. I need to look into the data, the charts. Before entering, it was looking decently well, in my opinion. So there is an edge. Nothing guarantees that I'm gonna end up making money from that. Solana, I partially already covered it. What else am I missing to say here? We had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row with just upside on the weekly, pretty much no move down. Of course, on the 4-hour, yes, but on the weekly, it's just green candles. We got this resistance, this trend line in here that we are about to break. Next level is $160. That's going to be the tough one. You can see how many times we use it as the area that holds the accumulation. There was accumulation all the way from May to around October. There were a few moves up, but nothing that really broke out. We defined this range and then we broke out. So here, when we get to 160, it is resistance. And bear in mind that from 160, you can easily go to 190, but still range. So the breakout is actually when we exit that level, I will say $200. If we don't cross $200, we could easily still be just ranging in here, which is good to know because, we range so long there. So maybe we could range a little bit more in that area before we actually aim for higher. And Solana is sold at 270, something like that. And I'm still not in Solana, to be honest. I haven't been convinced yet where to enter, although I should have entered at 95. But I have this target of 60, and maybe it's going to be a bad decision that. But I always prefer not to take a trade than to take a bad trade. But anyways, if you are in Solana, good for you, as long as it continues higher. Any specific questions about Solana, guys? I'm looking at the comments there. Sonic just joined. He joined late. Yes, it's at 4 p.m. UK time, so you are almost 1 hour late. On Algo, we have this extended flag in here in a potential breakout that has already been confirmed on Sunday. We are on the second candle that closes above that line, and it's been 4 weeks to the upside. And I remember in the previous time we were talking, this area, I call it area of value for Algo. And after that, we reclaim that support. I must have say, I am hoping that after the breakout, this is not just a revenge rally. Remember that at 43 is where you hold your teeth, because that can reject you and put new lows. But if you cross that, then you start gaining confidence into an extended period of upside, right? So, for example, like this breakout that went all the way into 84. One thing I will say, and it's not that I'm 100% convinced, but I think there is a good chance that these higher highs on the RSI on Algo are no longer going to be higher highs. I will bet that the next move of the RSI potentially can give a higher high on the price, but not on the momentum. So we could enter that phase of diminishing highs on the RSI momentum, just like Bitcoin is also doing on the weekly. That's just my guess. And even if you just get into 70s or 80s around here, respecting the high of 85, I think you can still make a new all-time high. Socials are pretty good looking on Algo, 0.24%. Those lows are good areas to consider buying. Like last time we went this low, well, not that low. From 22, this one went to 0.05. Yeah, fair enough, way lower, but that was the beginning of the pump. There's tons of pumps, guys, that start when no one is looking at a coin. I don't know why is that, but that's the way it works a lot of times. Not always, but a lot of times. Next is Bitcoin. I think someone say, can you do Ethereum? Someone put Fartcoin and then they ran away without giving it any vote. I don't know why. I guess it resembles the name of the coin. And then we get Bitcoin. Let's have a quick look at Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. Actually, I want to see the liquidations. We took the yellow there. Let's see if I can refresh this. I care about the funding rates, the bid ask ratio, and unfortunately, trading light is been down for so many days. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, very little number of longs, the lowest it's been, so just 36. We are getting very close to negative funding rates. That is bullish. Lack of longs is bearish. The ratio is 0.2, so it's extremely flat. There is at the moment probably a fight between longs and shorts, limit orders up and down. And then we got the longs at 470k. Well, now finally we have a delta that is not flat, that is putting the longs at risk of liquidation. So that is, that delta is enough for a pullback. Timing wise, it could be now or it could be tomorrow. Funding rates is bullish, 36 is bearish. This being flat doesn't say much. And the order book, and I'm really missing trading light. I got it's not that I depend on trading light. I still can trade, but it makes my life so much easier. And far charts is not working. Gosh, it's like the day where all order book software goes down, and you cannot trade. Maybe it's something to do. I thought it's something to do with the blackouts that there were in Spain, in Portugal, maybe. We just took the fair value gap of 97,100 that we've been looking for a while. Now we got a fair value gap from 95.7 into 95,200. So let's move that here, and let's get rid of 97. There you go. So we got that fair value gap below. It's not sufficient for me now to take profits because I enter at 97k. I think at 90, I need to see where I filled my order to give you the precise number, but around 97 I put my order, and going into 95 200 is just too small of a profit, and I'm getting sick of my small profits. I want a rally or a move. I'm kind of missing that. I wish we can get, at least to 88k with the short, and that will be fantastic. But if we get into 99 around there, well, I'm gonna have to pull out from my short and take a loss. That's very honest. That's kind of the plan I have. If I was DCAing on a long and I see an opportunity to long, then I don't care about DCAing because I put my orders very low. But on Bitcoin, it can get really scary because these legs up of Bitcoin, like this one here, let's say we are around here. Let's say we are around here at 66. Where's your next safety order? Well, you're going to have to double down after a big impulsive move. Maybe you're going to think, okay, 92. And then once you start seeing that there are various divergences around 108, so you need to treat your cash and everything really, really calm, free of emotions, because you're going to see drawdown. and then wait until and have the conviction that you're going to correct. So far, I've been good, but I haven't entered in shorts in these areas. I just sold and then bought again. But taking the shorts, I'm starting to do it more as we approach topping year. That's the main reason. Um, so that's kind of the flip in the mentality. A little bit more shorting, I will say. With the altcoins, not yet, because they haven't done anything and there hasn't been euphoria in the altcoins yet. So careful with shorting altcoins, because if we get a flip of cash coming in, and then your DCA of altcoins are gonna need infinite cash to the upside. You can see a coin that suddenly does 1,000, 2,000%, and what the hell are you gonna do DCA in there? Cool. C, that's CPOOL. Uh, Time, okay. Fartcoin, let's do Fartcoin. Let's do Fartcoin. Actually, I'm missing CPOOL. If there's any specific question about Bitcoin that I haven't covered in the video in the morning or something, just leave it in the comments there. I have them there. I'm seeing that Sonic is asking for Fartcoin, so it was me. Okay, that was you. Okay, I'm gonna do it now. So I'm doing the other one, Fartcoin. I can't believe I'm typing this. I'm gonna get my channel shadow ban for mentioning bad words thanks to this. So Farcoin on the weekly, let's identify levels of resistance and support, and then let's go very quickly down to the daily. Oh, hold on a second. So yeah, we got 1.8% of social dominance, and the longs are extremely extended at 50. So from 50, there's still upside, but this coin has never had more than 50 delta long shorts. So it's an area of warning there. It's been pretty much just increasing and increasing and increasing. We don't know what's there here because it was not listed, the data for longs versus shorts. That's why maybe this was higher, but we don't see it because there's no data here. So let's go back down to daily. Let's compress this. Cool. Okay, so this is not a V recovery, but it's a recovery like like a cap, right? So what this is screaming for is if there was some, if this resistance of 1-2 is as heavy as it looks, there should be here a handle or something like this to be able to conquer that and go into the $2, which is, another 100% up. And let me see if I can connect this from here to there. So yeah, there's been a shift of momentum. The bottoming was around here with a hidden bullish divergence. Socials are, I'm pinching down to 1% from having been before at 2.19, which are the maximum that you can get. That happened on this high there. And the thing I don't like about the socials when they pinch and then the price continues going higher is that you attract retail, right? So think about the logic. This pumps into 0.94. You attract more retail than ever with all these socials, and then the price continues going higher. So my speculation, my logic tells me that after you attract retail, they are buying it, right? They're buying the RIP, and whales love selling the RIP into retail. So that could be the reason how 1.3 becomes resistance that gives you some pullback to $1 or to 65 cents from there. That could still retain the momentum to upside, but get rid of those retails. They profit from that, and then they rinse and repeat. It's not guaranteed, but it's a recipe that happens so often that is a sin not to mention it. Longs versus shorts remains really flat, so I cannot say anything about that. And let's go to liquidation levels. Fartcoin. I hope I'm reviewing the right coin. Yeah, you say Fartcoin on Mexi. Yeah, okay, cool. Liquidation levels of the past 3 months, we don't have anything to the upside to see, but we have that 0.7. Okay, so how does that look in the chart if you go to 0.7? Yeah, that looks like that potential handle of the cup. So if we liquidate these dudes in here that entered with a lot of leverage right after everybody was tweeting about the stupid coin, you get the handle. Then if that 68 holds, if you just do a liquidity hand right below and then you reclaim 50, 70 something, then you go to this chart and you see, hey, we took that liquidity now. Okay, job completed. Market maker did it. Okay, I'm going to re-enter with some volume, expecting a continuation. Then you look at your risk. What is your liquidity levels below? So it's definitely bigger than that. That doesn't guarantee you don't go lower. But if Bitcoin is in an uptrend and things are going up, then you go to 0.7 and that's a great opportunity. Okay, so that is Fartcoin. Any specific question about Fartcoin? Sonic is saying, imagine if now you long the cap and handle. Well, I wouldn't long 1.3 if that's what you mean. If you mean longing the handle or DCA in the handle at $1 and then at 66, if we get that low for that liquidity, that provides better risk to reward than starting to long in here, where that a lot of retail enter on the 12th of April, and now it's getting really quiet, and they are in profit. So, they just need to rack pool now, get that retail punish, and then there can be continuation. There can be, not there hasn't have to be. Okay. Am I missing any coin? Let me see. Yeah, I was gonna do CPOOL. That had more votes. Let's look at this on the weekly. There is a breakout. There is a double bottom on the weekly. Socials are in the middle. We don't have longs, shorts. We have a resistance horizontal there against this level of 44. And that is pretty much equivalent to that line of 14 cents. Let me zoom in here. Yeah, 14 cents. I will say that is the level. Then we have 17 cents, give or take, right there at the close, and that pinch that we already rejected back down into a double bottom at 10 cents. And then we need to reclaim 17. And then we go to 24 cents. And let's see, then we have 32. It's a bit gray area, that I will say somewhere here at 36, with this high, those support and those resistance levels there. So we got all those levels: 14, 17, 24, 36. And of course, around the all-time high. And what the hell is CPOOL? Let me see. Does it say anything here? No, it doesn't say anything. So if we reclaim the 44, we're back in the area of the upside of this. I think there's already a breakout on the weekly. It's been just putting higher lows, so that's great. Now we're challenging the 45. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, there's been a breakout on the daily. And how far are we already in the breakout? Have we missed it? I think there's still upside, maybe up until 75. That could get us maybe into 24 for a swing trade, into 24 cents. That's a conservative target, I will say, right after having put the double bottom. So breaking 17 should bring us back 24 and then 36. Of course, don't buy resistance, buy support, buy retest, wait for cooldowns and stuff like that. Don't just chase the price, not because it already moved here. Oh, I missed it, unless you want to hold and you have kind of a mindset of investing within 2025 context into some expected rip that we could get in the middle of the year. But if you are in the context of a swing trade, enter, exit at a specific level, monitor that trade, which is a completely different mindset. Then, I look for very specific targets and I take my money and run. That's kind of the idea behind. CPOOL IXS. So before I take any live requests for coins, I need to cover the ones that got votes. IXS, no, I cannot do TA of this. You just got that. This is the only thing I can grab in here. And look at this price action. It's like epileptic RSI. No, impossible. I cannot do much. It's IX swap. It's listed on Poloniex. Yeah, there's been a breakout in here in the momentum, but it's coming back down. It's so epileptic. I cannot really do much. I'm sorry. I need to do, actual TA with some history. So let's do Ethereum because I promised that too. Oh, wow. That is some progress. So now we get these three bottoms looking a little bit alike. The socials still pretty low. Ethereum can get to socials of 80% of everybody talking about Ethereum. That last time that happened about 2023 in February, then probably each of the times we went higher. When we were starting the bull market from lows of 1,000, well, the lows are actually 900, but when we were here, there was a peak. There was another peak in 2021, and then there was a peak around this area. And then at 4,000, interestingly, there are no peaks in social. Then what I'm seeing here is that we are in one of these situations. We are forming a double bottom, a small double bottom in here. And I think from now, if things continue, how they are, worst case, we get a larger double bottom here. So there's a pullback, hopefully a higher low. And then we're talking about a rally into the global resistance, which is more or less at 57 at the moment. If we go very vertical, but I will say 54 from where we are, considering this move. So a little bit more to the right hand side. Let's say 54. Let's put the reverse. And we are running out of time as well. So if we do 54, we're going to get straight into 2.7. And that is a very critical level because remember that we lost that level. Remember, if you were watching my videos, in March, let's say, I say if we lose this level, first we pinch and we reclaim. And we say, oh, amazing, we reclaimed 2.6K. Then we lost it 2 weeks after. And I call this area the end of the world. And we went as low as 1.5. So if we go back to 2.7, that is where we meet with the same trend line that we lost. So if we go just to that level, it's just a revenge rally. I'm hoping that we can reclaim 2.7. I'm hoping we can reclaim 3K because there are big liquidations on the top end on Ethereum. And that's what's keeping me holding at the moment Ethereum for a longer term. It's one of those coins that I didn't play well. I think I should have sold at 4K just together with XRP and all the other coins that put a pretty decent high with Solana and XRP. This one at the moment has the largest liquidations at 4.1. So I'm really looking forward for us to get that high, hopefully this cycle. If we don't get there this cycle for some crazy reason, I'm going to just hold it until we get there or until it goes to zero. Any other question, guys? I think someone was asking for Jupiter. So I'm going to do Jupiter. BTC around 97K now. Still a good position for a short. Well, I entered at 97. So It's up to you if you want to mimic me, but I encourage you to do your own decisions. Definitely, I don't want anybody to copy trade me, because copying just the position is just 1% of the whole job. You need to decide based on your own risk aversion, your own trading style, your vision about what is a great trade, what is a bad trade. So if you copy me and then you're not satisfied, well, that's because you only copy the entry. That's why I encourage you to think about it, if that really works for you. For me, it does at the moment. Maybe in a half an hour it won't. BTC around 97. Would you consider a sold short at these levels? No, I wouldn't. In short, because there are some decent liquidations to the upside on Solana, and I think we are having a breakout. Altcoins haven't done that much, and shorts on altcoins can be a lot more aggressive than the move up on Solana can be a lot more aggressive faster than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, if it breaks out now and we go to 110 from 97, that's 13K. That's like a 10%, a 10-15% up. Solana can do a lot more than that, and lower cap can do a lot more than that. So shorting, when things are starting to form a bottoming, to finally do something during the bull market, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do shorts on altcoins once the altcoins are really running hot in a topping year. So if we get Solana to get to, let's say, $800 or something like that, and RSIs are extremely overextended, if we get there, then I'm going to do shorts on the altcoins. Otherwise, doing it here from the bottom is like just calling for trouble. Why am I doing it on Bitcoin? Because I'm looking for a pullback, and there's a ton of data that I'm using for an edge, but I can still be wrong on that. Okay, so Ethereum has that level there. I talk about Ethereum, and I'm going to call it for today. Thanks so much, guys. Remember, if you're watching this video on Friday, because I publish it on YouTube, you can join these sessions. They are private once a week, and you need Elite, which you can join on Patreon. The link is down in the description. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.